I used to read classics all the time. I have a degree in French literature, but I haven't been picking up any lately. So I thought, of course, the solution was to buy a bunch of them. That way will hopefully get me back in the mood. So I have some French classics, some English ones because I'm still trying to catch up on that, and then a couple of nonfiction just for fun. I've apparently decided which editions I want to collect for both. So French ones is obviously the folio classic ones, the white ones. You can probably not see, but over there. Those are the classics, the French classics I have read. So all of these editions, they're mass market paperbacks, but they're really floppy, so I love them. So the first one I picked up is Les Liaisons Dangereuses, which there's apparently an HBO Max adaptation. If you've seen it, let me know if it's worth it or not. I'm obviously going to read the book first, but this one sounded quite interesting. You're following two aristocrats that are playing manipulation games, seduction games, and sending each other letters, and that's what the novel is about it. Especially I've heard that the Marquise de Merteuil is really kind of funny and entertaining to read about because she tends to make judgment about everyone in society, but the whole thing is just love, revenge, drama, and kind of destroying each other. So I've heard good things. I'm hoping I'm gonna like that one. I also picked up La Chartreuse de Parme by Stendhal. I do have The Red and the Black on my shelf, which I have yet to read, but this one seems to be a classic, a young man trying to find his place into society, love, politics, ambition. I was trying to find authors I knew because this one I bought it used, but the cover is really pretty. I feel like some of these in the folio classic edition tend to be really hit and miss in terms of appearance, but this one was pretty. One that was a bit more so-so is this one. This is Notre-Dame de Paris by Victor Hugo, which I've been going back and forth if I was going to read Les Miserables by him. I feel like it's just so huge and I just never really plan on reading it, but everyone has been talking about it in a really positive way, so I was tempted, but this was the only edition that they had and it was just kind of ugly. I tend to buy a lot of my books used, so I don't tend to be super picky, but this one was just too far, especially because it was full price. It was like $20-something. And classics are usually pretty affordable, so it was just like too much for me. So I will either wait until they reprint, because they usually do it quite often and they change the covers. But yeah, I just couldn't do it, so it will have to wait. But I did pick up this edition of Notre-Dame de Paris, which they had two, and this seemed like the best one of the two, especially because you get at least the cathedral in the background. So at least there's that. I did grow up watching the Disney movie, and who doesn't like Esmeralda? So her story with Quasimodo. And I've heard that the book is a lot darker than the movie. I mean, obviously. Although the movie, if you rewatch it as an adult, it's definitely darker than I remembered it to be. But yeah, medieval Paris, some drama, some gothic vibes. I wanted to finally read this one. It's also really chunky too. Actually, the notes are like a big part of it. It's 750 pages, so it's not too bad. And I've read some of his novels and they were pretty fast-paced considering. Now, I did get La Dame aux Camélias by Dumas. Actually, I've heard a lot of people starting to read The Count of Monte Cristo, and I thought I would just say his name properly because this is the son technically, but they have the same name. And I've heard a lot of people mispronouncing it, so just FYI, it's Alexandre. There's no accent on the E at the end, so you don't pronounce it. Same thing with the last name. You don't pronounce the S at the end, so it's Alexandre Dumas. Just like that. So yes, this is the son. I've read his father's books, specifically The Three Musketeers and The Count of Monte Cristo. Loved them, and I wanted to see how the son compares. And I feel like that's the one that I can just tell without looking it up that it is his, not his father. So if you have any recommendations. So this one is a classic doom romance. You're following a young man falling in love with a courtesan, and society and illness are keeping them separated. So I grabbed that. I'm hoping I will enjoy it. Now, let's talk about the English classics. I have a mix, again, of authors that are new to me, some that I wanted to read more from, English, and then some American classics. And yeah, I'm basically just trying to catch up since I've read a ton of French classics, but not everything for English and American. So I did read Metamorphosis by Kafka 2 years ago, I think, and I really liked it, so I wanted to try more by him. So the trial, that cover really caught my eye. I don't know where this picture is from. I will probably have to look it up, but this is a very absurd novel. Basically, this man is arrested and is on trial, and he has no idea what's going on and like why and what he's accused of. So it's just peak existential dread, absurdity, just anxiety and the bureaucracy, and yeah, a short book that is apparently really good. So I wanted to read more about him since I had liked his first book. Another author I wanted to read more from is Elizabeth Gaskell. I read North and South and really liked it. I thought there was a lot more social commentary and even politics than I expected. I didn't love the romance though in that one, but like overall it was a really, really good book. So of course, when I saw Wives and Daughters, I wanted to read it. I actually almost watched a TV show and looked it up because period dramas, you have to check first. And I obviously want to read the book first. So that's what I'm going to do. But if you've seen it, again, I want to know how you felt about it. But this one is supposed to be kind of cozy for a classic. It's set in the English countryside, and it's about this young woman's family life, love, expectations. Apparently there is more social commentary in that one, so very much excited to pick it up. You might have noticed already, but clearly I have decided to collect the Penguin Classic editions for my English classics, and I saw this copy of The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte. I have already read it, but I wanted the edition. I highly recommend it. I was trying to figure out which Bronte sister was my favorite sister, and it might be her. Obviously, I'm still trying to read all of their books first, but so far, this is my favorite one. I feel like it was so ahead of its time, and I believe when she passed away, her sister refused to have it republished because it was so controversial. So, you know, it was really good, quite feminist for the time. And yeah, this was fantastic. I highly recommend it. And I wanted to have an edition that matches the Penguin Classic edition that I'm trying to collect. I have never read anything by E.M. Forster, but I have read of A Room with a View. So I did want to pick it up. I believe this one is following a young woman who is traveling to Italy. It's like a coming of age story, and she experienced love and freedom over there. And then when she comes back to England, she is back to this very rigid expectations of society. So she kind of has to decide whatever she wants to do with her life. It's quite short for a classic. So I've heard of that name, so I wanted to see if it was worth reading. The other one I picked up is Howard's End, which I believe this one you're following 3 different families from different social class in England, and there is inheritance drama. I believe one of them is giving away a summer house to obviously someone from a lower class. Family drama ensues. So you following the relationships throughout the novel. Again, not super big for a classic. I also wanted to try more books by Edith Wharton. It's too many H's for me, but I read The Age of Innocence and I really liked it. And I believe this one is also set in New York, and kind of similarly, you're following a young woman who is trying to find her place in society, trying to find a suitable marriage, and trying to deal with the really strict expectations in society and how women can't make mistakes. So that's that one. Again, not super big, and this one is probably the shortest one of the bunch. But this is Ethan From, and in this one you're following a man who is very unhappily married when they end up hiring the cousin of his wife. Yeah, she enters their household as a hired girl, and he becomes obsessed with her and kind of imagined that he would be so much happier like this. So I'm assuming this will not end well, of course. And this one is actually set in New England countryside during the winter, so maybe I should keep this for the winter. I have read 2 books by John Steinbeck, and I wanted to read more. I did, of course, read East of Eden and Of Mice and Men, and enjoyed both of them, so of course I wanted to try more. I hadn't heard of that one. This is To a God Unknown, so very salt of the earth, kind of the stories he tends to write. This man goes to California to start a farm. It's like family drama, and he's trying to create this place in honor of his father who passed away. And I feel like the back tells you too much. Like, I was reading it and I feel like it gives you the ending. I have become really reticent to read the back of books because often I feel like there are spoilers all the time. So yes, I will not tell you more just in case, but that's kind of what the stories seem to be. And again, I haven't had any of his books in this edition, so I'm probably going to try to replace them over time. But I need to show you the other edition of a book I picked up by him, because look at this. This just doesn't seem like the vibe for his books, like, at all. It seems like so happy, and like you can see in the back, like all the other books in this edition, I mean, it was $1 at the library sale, so I had picked it up because why not? But yes, I will not be collecting them in that edition. I feel like this one is just so much prettier, and this was actually also from a library sale. You can see it's kind of damaged a little bit, but it's okay. It's okay. It's the edition that I want because his books tend to be so intense, and this just doesn't do it justice. But I've heard great things about this book, The Grapes of Wrath, so I will read it. And if I find an edition that matches the other ones, eventually I'll pick it up. As I've mentioned, I haven't read as many English classics than French ones, so I'm definitely open to recommendations. But I feel like Charles Dickens is one that I have heard of, but I've never tried. Like, I've read all Jane Austen. I have been trying to read the Bronte sister, for example, so I'm trying. But yes, I haven't tried anything by him. So I picked up two more. This is Hard Times and Bleak House. This one terrifies me because, my gosh. Yeah, it's 1,000 pages, so definitely never ending, which is how the court case that is the story is described. So just never ending, a lot of costs for it. And people are saying that it's like possibly his best book. I don't know if that's true, but it's about how society is rotten to the core. We'll see how that goes. I'm very scared of it, so it's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but it's on the shelf, so I have no choice eventually to pick it up. Hard Times, you're following a man who is a school owner that also has a son and a daughter, and he's very strictly trying to teach them about life, utilitarian thinking, and that's the only way that they should live their life, which obviously has consequences. So his daughter ends up in a loveless marriage, and his son's, I think he becomes a criminal. So it's meant to be a critique of industrial capitalism and emotional neglect because he's so focused on only what is utilitarian. So that's the other one. Again, I haven't heard anyone really mention this one, but I'm not really well versed in English classics. So I saw it, I recognized the author. Why not? We're almost done with the English classics. The next one I was really excited to find at a library sale. She's a little damaged, but it's okay. She was $2 and she's floppy. I've heard that they're going to stop making mass market paperback. What's up with that? Because I feel like some editions, like my Folio Classics, I highly doubt that they'll stop making these. And I mean, maybe these kind of thing, maybe, but when they're floppy, they're really comfortable. The only ones I don't like is when they're so stiff you can't open them without breaking the spine, but this one is totally floppy. Anyway, this one was recommended to me multiple times. This is The Woman in White. I've heard that this is considered one of the first psychological thrillers, so very curious to try it. Apparently it's quite fast-paced, even though it's pretty chunky. And it's about secrets, mistaken identities, surprise revelations, amnesia, locked rooms, and asylum. I hope I'll enjoy this one. This one sounded really interesting. This is Black No More, and I believe this is considered sci-fi. Yeah, speculative fiction. It's supposed to be a funny satire of America's obsession with race. So in 1933 in New York, they found a way to bleach people's skin so black people can become white. So the main character does just that, and it's about racism. And I believe because it's satire, they're also, yeah, the author's including some real people that lived at the time. So I'm curious to see how that would receive. I'll have to look that up too. But yes, I grabbed this. And then the next two are technically classics, but nonfiction. So the first one is A Vindication of Rights of Woman by Mary Wollstonecraft, who's the mother of Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein. And this one is about how you can't claim that women are inferior, but then not provide them access to education and opportunity. So it's considered a early feminist novel, or I should say nonfiction. So I grabbed that. That sounded interesting. And the next one is 12 Years a Slave, which I know it's a movie. I mean, this is actually the movie edition, which I try to avoid usually. And there's like the fake sticker. It's okay. I still wanted to read it. I haven't seen a movie. I've heard good things, but of course I want to read the book first. And it's about a black man who was kidnapped. He was a free man. He was kidnapped and of course made a slave for 12 years. So of course it's about his survival and his struggle to go back home. So wanted to read this, and the rest is nonfiction. Okay, the first one, I kind of wish I had a French edition, but that's okay. This is Discipline and Punish: The Birth of Prison by Michel Foucault, which this one is about how we went from torture, public torture actually. We were talking about Victor Hugo. I did read The Last Day of a Condemned Man, which I don't know why it didn't click until I read that book, how embarrassing it would be to be publicly executed, which like, I understand it's the point, but I just never really thought about it. But yes, we went from that to now it's more about control and surveillance. So wanted to try this. The next one I picked up is The Wretched of the Earth, and this one is about the violence of colonization, and he talks about the connection between the colonial war and mental disease. So that one. I recently got Cast, and I was saying how excited I was to read it, And ever since then, I've gotten so many comments saying that I absolutely need to read the other book by the author, so I picked it up. This is The Warmth of Other Suns, the epic story of America's Great Migration. So this is about how African American went from the south to the north of the US. It's from 1915 to 1970, and apparently this reads almost like fiction, like a story. It's beautifully written, and I don't know if you can tell how big this book is. It's humongous, but yes, I've heard that as an author in general, she's fantastic. So now I have 2 of her books. I need to pick them up. I read so many nonfictions when I first started reading this year. Like, I've read over 50 books this year, and I think 20 of them were nonfiction. So I need to get back to them, though. I kind of took a little break. I've been slowly trying to fill the gaps in my education in history. I feel like in school we didn't learn much recent history. We learn more about the Greek and Rome than anything, I feel like. So I'm slowly picking up books that will hopefully help with that. This is The Jakarta Method, Washington's Anti-Communist Crusade and the Mass Murder Program That Shaped Our World. That does not sound like light reading, but I've heard good things and I wanted to try it. And last but not least, I picked up Freedom is a Constant Struggle. I really enjoyed Women, Race, and Class by the same author. Would highly recommend. And this one is a collection of essays about feminism and social class, race, prisons, by the author. So I wanted to read more about her, and I really like this edition, so I picked it up. Just kidding, there's one more. I also picked up Orientalism, which this one is about how in history, in literature, the West has had a tendency to romanticize, stereotype, oversimplify the East, so that sounded interesting too. So that's it, for real. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you have read any of these books so I know which one I should prioritize and put higher on my TBR. Like I said, I really want to go back to reading more classic. I think I've only read one this year, and it wasn't by choice. It was the jar that told me to. I think I might have to do a challenge or two trying to get back into it. I'm really excited. Please leave me some recommendations, English classics especially. I'll put more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.